let's dive right into a scenario that, quite frankly, sounds like the beginning of a thriller. Picture this. You've got a giant cruise ship, literally the length of 4 city blocks, and it's plowing through the open ocean in the dead of night. You've got over 4,000 passengers fast asleep in their cabins. Outside, the water ahead is completely, terrifyingly pitch black. And yet, the bridge crew at the helm is navigating without turning on a single headlight. Now, it's not because they forgot, and it's certainly not a glitch in the equipment. It's because headlights, exactly the way you and I are picturing them right now, are completely useless on open water. Today, we're going to explore exactly why that is and uncover one of the most elegant communication languages ever built into a machine. So, to understand why the bridge crew isn't just flipping on a pair of massive high beams, we really have to look at the huge physics problem at play here. Think about how we navigate on land. We use highway logic, right? A car headlight throws a beam forward, it bounces off a road sign or a hazard, and a fraction of that light returns to your eyes. At highway speeds, having about 100 meters of visibility is totally fine. You see the hazard, you hit the brakes, and you stop safely. But what happens when you try to apply that everyday highway logic to the middle of the ocean? Well, the entire physics equation just falls apart, and it really all comes down to momentum and mass. 14. That is how many American football fields it takes for a fully loaded cargo ship to come to a complete stop. So, to give a ship's crew enough time to actually react, change course, and avoid a catastrophic collision, a headlight wouldn't just need to light up the road ahead. It would need to illuminate over 14 football fields of open water clearly enough to spot another dark vessel. Oh, and it would have to do all that through thick salt haze, heavy rain, and just the overall brutal conditions of the open ocean. The truth is, the physics of light simply don't support highway logic out there. While your car headlight throws light forward to bounce off a highly reflective street sign, the ocean is a totally different beast. The ocean doesn't reflect. It scatters, it absorbs, and it entirely swallows light. By the time a beam of light travels the distance of 14 football fields, it's expanded so wide that almost nothing bounces back to you. To make a traditional headlight work over that kind of distance, the light would need to be incomprehensibly powerful. So the idea of a ship's headlight literally dies the second you do the math. Okay, so let's dive into this massive paradigm shift. If they can't use headlights, how on earth does a cruise ship with 4,000 sleeping passengers know what's out there at 2 a.m.? Well, instead of trying to light up the darkness in front of them, ships light up themselves. Instead of needing this impossibly powerful beam to travel miles, hit a target, and bounce all the way back, ships just use lights bright enough to be spotted by someone who's already looking. The power requirement drops dramatically, and it shifts the entire strategy from illuminating the environment to making the ship itself perfectly visible and readable from every possible angle. And this is where it gets really cool, because these navigation lights act as a silent language. They don't just say, "Hey, I exist." They tell you exactly what the ship is, where it's going, and how it's oriented, all without a single word of radio chatter. It starts with the mast headlights. A large vessel has 2 white lights positioned right down the ship's centerline. One is mounted forward, and the other is mounted aft, or towards the back. But importantly, the aft light is always positioned higher than the forward one. That specific staggered geometry is meticulously engineered to convey real-time orientation to anyone watching from miles away. Because of that height difference, those lights tell a very precise story in the dark. Let's break it down. Step 1. If you're out on the water and you see the forward light sitting lower and the aft light sitting higher, you know instantly you're looking at the side of the vessel. It's crossing your path. But step 2. If those 2 white lights stack vertically, appearing almost perfectly on top of each other, well, brace yourself, because that means the bow of that massive ship is pointing directly at you. Now, let's bring the side lights into the mix, because this built into something genuinely brilliant. On the port side, which is the left side of the ship, there's a red light, but it's shielded so it only shines through a highly specific 112-degree arc. On the starboard side, the right side, there's a green light, and it also shines exclusively through its own 112-degree arc. The remaining degrees cover the back of the ship, which we'll get to in a second. But these specific color-coded slices are absolutely critical for navigating at night. Basically, you want to think of the ship as a city block-sized rotating arrow that's visible from miles of open ocean. Red means the ship's left side is facing you, green means the right side is facing you. And here is the genius of those 112-degree arcs. If you can see both the red and the green colors at the exact same time, you are standing in that very narrow window looking right at the bow. You're in the direct path of the ship, and you must make an immediate navigational decision. To round out the whole setup, we have the stern. A single white light fills in that remaining gap at the back of the ship.
If all you see in the pitch black is that lone white light, you're safely behind the ship, moving in the same direction and overtaking it. Now, this isn't just a random collection of bulbs. It's a completely internationally agreed-upon maritime language. That single distinction between seeing one white light versus the colored side lights literally dictates international maritime rules and legal right-of-way. Every single officer on every flagged vessel in the entire world reads this exact same language fluently.
Now that we know how ships make themselves visible to everyone else, it brings up another massive, super counterintuitive mystery. Why is the navigation bridge, the actual control center of these ships, kept in near total blackness? Ships actively suppress almost all of their own deck lighting at night. The bridges dim their interior lights, and unnecessary exterior lights are completely switched off. Now, your first instinct is probably, wow, that seems incredibly reckless. If you're navigating a massive floating city in the dark, wouldn't more light equal more safety? Why turn them off? Well, the answer has nothing to do with saving power. It is entirely about human biology. It all comes down to the physiological reality happening inside the eyes of the bridge crew. You see, it takes the human eye roughly 20 to 30 minutes to fully adapt to total darkness. But once your eyes reach that fully adapted state, your night vision becomes something akin to a superpower. An adapted human eye can detect extraordinarily faint light sources from enormous distances. We are literally talking about being able to spot a single candle flame from over a mile away, or a vessel's faint navigation lights from several miles out across the open sea. But here is the catch, and it's a big one. Bright light ruins that night vision adaptation in seconds. If an officer has spent 30 minutes getting their eyes perfectly adjusted to the pitch black, the moment a bright white light enters their field of vision, say from a floodlight, a flashlight, or even an open door spilling light out from a passenger cabin, that hard-earned adaptation collapses instantly. Their night vision is wiped out in seconds, leaving that officer functionally blinded to everything dim in the ocean around them. There's actually a really famous saying in maritime navigation: the darkness is not a hazard. The darkness is the tool. This profound reality is exactly why maritime regulations legally require minimal bridge lighting during night watches. It's why all the essential instruments on the bridge only use red wavelengths of light, because red light disrupts dark adaptation way less than white light does. It's even the reason why the windows on a ship's bridge curve forward and tilt downward. That highly specific architectural choice is designed to block the reflected glare from any brightly lit passenger decks below. Literally every single choice is made to protect the officer's night vision.
But of course, the story doesn't end there. Because what happens when human sight simply isn't enough? In heavy fog, those bright navigation lights vanish into white nothingness within just a few hundred meters. In a torrential downpour, the lights blur and scatter wildly. And what about in heavily congested shipping lanes where dozens of massive vessels are all moving simultaneously? The human eye can only track so many distinct red and green lights before the visual picture just becomes completely overwhelming.
So, to navigate a 4,000-passenger cruise ship through a fog-bound channel with literal zero visibility, we rely on what's called the invisible layer. Operating seamlessly above that physical light system is this dense, high-tech web of radar pulses, radio signals, and transponder data. This invisible layer paints a flawless, real-time digital picture of every single vessel for miles around, completely penetrating any weather and any level of darkness. The traditional light system and this invisible data layer work together in perfect harmony, and it's the exact reason why catastrophic collisions at sea are so incredibly rare today. It's just absolutely fascinating, isn't it? A massive ship in the dead of night totally abandons headlights and braces the pitch black and uses a 19th century language of colored bulbs paired with invisible data to safely navigate the oceans. So I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time you look at a monumental piece of engineering, ask yourself, what other massive machines are out there relying on totally counterintuitive logic, just hiding in plain sight to keep us perfectly safe? What seemingly reckless choices are actually the hidden, elegant systems that make our modern world function?